So guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of, I guess, FCA Personalities. Today, we got Chris and Kellie Gimenez joining us. So Chris and Kellie, thanks for taking the time. I know you guys are busy. You got 3 kids in the other room right now on technology keeping them busy. It's our modern day babysitter.
Hopefully.
You know how that goes, right? Yeah, hopefully. If they're quiet, you might have a problem. You might need to go check them. Right? So thanks for taking the time. Why don't we start with you guys just telling us a little bit about growing up as athletes. Obviously, you're both super athletic. Growing up, kind of what sports you played and favorite sports and kind of your process of moving through the sports up to college.
Sure. Go ahead.
You want me to go first? Okay. So growing up, I got really tall, really young. So when I was between the ages of 13 and 14, I grew from 5'7" to 6'1". So I was an 8th grader, 6'1". And so my parents put me in basketball camp. I think they were hoping to like give this tall, lanky girl some coordination and something to be tall for, you know? And
Right.
so I started playing basketball in middle school. And then I started playing volleyball my freshman year of high school just to get in shape for basketball. So I remember the basketball coach was like, you should go play volleyball. It'll help you jump higher and fast, you know, get faster and stay in shape leading up to basketball season. So I started playing volleyball to jump higher for basketball and all the things. And then ended up being a better build for volleyball. I'm really tall and thin. And even though basketball was like my first love and I would have loved to continue to play basketball in college, as I got older, we were just talking about this today, like as I got older and more competitive in basketball, I realized I was like too tall and thin and the other girls my height would just like shove me around. But in volleyball, you know, you're on one side of the net and I could kind of hold my own in volleyball. So I ended up getting a college scholarship to play volleyball. And I started at the University of Arizona my freshman year.
Okay.
And we went to the Final Four, so I got to experience a college program like that. But I wasn't going to get the playing time I wanted, so then I ended up transferring back to UNR and finished my volleyball career there.
Okay, great. So you said transferring back. So you're from Reno originally?
Yes, born and raised in Reno. Yep.
Born and raised. Chris, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I grew up literally playing any sport I could get my hands or feet on.
Soccer?
I did, yeah. We played soccer. Yeah. I wasn't very fast, it turns out. So soccer I knew early on that wasn't going to be my sport. Goalie was more of my position, I guess. But where I grew up in Gilroy, California, our street was not like the most busy street in the neighborhood. So what we did was we took spray paint and we spray painted a baseball field and a football field in the middle of our street between 4 houses, and all of us neighbor kids literally every single day would play everything. We'd play hockey, roller hockey, basketball, football, baseball. We would stuff socks in what are they called, wiffle balls, and tape them up so you could throw them like 100 miles an hour. And
Fantastic.
Luckily, what's that?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we did anything we could. I mean, we played any game we could. And, you know, I think 2 of my favorites were basketball and baseball, obviously. So kind of growing up, started playing basketball and baseball, Little League. We were in rec leagues for basketball. I played soccer until I was in 5th grade. And then, like I said, I realized too really quickly that I just wasn't fast enough for it. And there was a lot of kids a lot quicker than me, and I didn't like that. So I decided to just kind of basically go to basketball and baseball. And I was lucky enough my freshman year made JV on basketball. I as well kind of had a similar story with Kellie. I grew 5.5 inches between my 7th grade year and my 8th grade year. So summer, I grew 5.5 inches. And I went from being our starting shooting guard to our starting center from 7th grade to 8th grade on the basketball team. So, you know, we had a chance to play. The cool thing with me is I've had the same group of best friends since preschool. We all went to preschool together. There was 8 of us, and we all played athletics all the way up until college together. which was pretty neat. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And we're all still best friends today. We have every Tuesday, we do a little like happy hour deal where all of us get on, since none of us are busy right now, which has been great because, most of the time we're only really able to catch up for the holidays if we're all back home in Gilroy. Other than that, it's kind of, few and far between now that we all have families and kids of our own. It's just become a lot tougher. So this has been really fun this has been a positive side of being stuck inside all the time to, have a chance to get to catch up with my friends a little bit more.
Online happy hour. I like it. I like it. So
it's pretty solid.
No doubt. So you ended up at Nevada too. So I'm presuming that you guys met at the University of Nevada, but what is a bit of a story behind that meeting?
Yeah, we do. We have a little story.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess so my sophomore year is when I came back to Nevada, and he and his friends used to always come to the volleyball games.
Yeah,
and
like any normal human being.
College, yeah. And so I guess he started telling his buddies that he was going to marry me. Right?
I did, yeah. I started telling all the guys on the team that I was going to marry.
Prophetic. Way to go.
Yeah. I just knew, I knew.
Yeah, we'd never met. And then we were at
She just didn't know it yet.
I didn't know it yet. Yeah. So anyway, we met from friends.
We did
finally
meet
introduced us.
Yeah, friends. Friends kind of introduced us because I was probably too chicken to like really go throw myself out there.
Yeah.
This 6'1" blonde, beautiful girl, and then a little skinny, like 190-pound kid.
No.
I didn't think, I really had what it took. So thankfully we had some friends introduce us. We sat next to each other at a UNR basketball game and really hit it off. And then, honestly, kind of the rest is history. I feel We've been together since 2002? Three.
Yeah.
Three.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny because looking back, the way we met and the way it all kind of intermingled, and we just feel like we were supposed to be together. It was not.
I knew it. She just thinks the other way. So
that's all.
I took more convincing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it's kind of cool because we definitely felt like, in order for us to end up together, there was a different hand in it, sort of kind of guiding us, along the way. And I think we've always kind of appreciated that and had a very fond, I guess, appreciation for it, really.
Yeah. So, you mentioned that hand, both of you, you're on this FCA call to talk a little bit about your faith. So how was it with your guys' faith, if any, growing up, I guess pre-college, before that volleyball viewing? How was it like? How was your faith before that? Before you got that prophetic gift, Chris? How was your faith? I guess in your households growing up as young athletes.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't really grow up in a Christian household. Either of us.
Yeah, we neither did. Neither of us did.
So growing up, I started going to church with some of my friends, and when I was 12, my parents sent me off, my brother and I, to a Christian camp. I think just a summer camp. Our friends were going, and so they sent us. And that's when I gave my life to Christ, was there, not even really knowing what that meant. It was just being there, experiencing it. And so after that, we kind of begged our parents to go to church. And so our parents started going to church because my brother and I have a twin brother. So we were both at the camp together. And my brother and I asked our parents to take us to church. That only lasted for a year or so because I felt like we were kind of dragging our parents there, asking our parents if we could pray at dinner. And like, it was a weird, so.
Normally it's the other way around, right?
The other way, yes. Yeah. So, and then after that, I got really into sports and we stopped going as family. College, when we met, neither of us were Christians or,
right.
So it's funny now looking back how it's all kind of worked. Like, I feel it's funny how God can work in two people's lives that didn't grow up that way. And, after we got married and we were traveling for his baseball career, which we haven't even talked about, but it's funny that God kept bringing people into our lives, like really strong Christians. in the baseball life.
It's really like, if you take a look back on it, you're kind of like,
the way
whoa.
God kind of weaved people into our lives, like when Chris was getting sent down or sent up or traded.
All of our friends that we had were all Christians. It was very few people that we had that we were acquaintances with, I guess you could say, throughout our baseball journey were not Christians. And it was just a very simple thing to be able to watch how they live their lives every year or every day, year, two. You know, and it was a very easy decision that we made that, you know, that's the great model that we wanted. Like, that's what we wanted our lives to be like. And, you know,
after college, I had started going back to church. I was working and he was traveling for baseball. And so I started going back to church because I felt like it was always something that I missed. And I feel like God never lets you go. Like, once you give your life to him, he's like, okay, like, I'm going to keep straight, like, bringing you back no matter how far away you go from me. And so I started going back to church. And so then when I quit my job and started traveling with him, when financially we could do it, I kept bugging him.
Yeah.
Like, let's
and
go
it's
to
funny
church.
because you know, she started saying she was going to church. We're having a long distance relationship. She's in Reno. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. And, you know, I started baseball throughout the minor leagues and the major leagues. They have every Sunday morning, we have what's considered baseball chapel. Each team has a chaplain, and they will come in, and we have 15-minute sermons every Sunday, whether you're at home or on the road. And I started attending those just more so because Kelly wanted it. You know what I mean? And then it kind of really like snowballed for me, where all of my friends were Christians, and it kind of worked. You know what I mean? And it's funny how it all kind of came about.
Well, I mean, God kind of gets what he wants, but it probably sounds a little bit like you. Fair to say, as a guy kind of checking the box. My wife would like that.
Right. I knew it was something that my wife, my girlfriend, liked. So of course I was going to do it, you know. And it's just funny how that's kind of how it started, because, you know, my dad grew up Catholic and he absolutely hated it. Was very, very open about how much he did not like any of this stuff. My mom grew up Presbyterian, and I grew up going to the Presbyterian church with my grandparents a lot of times on Sundays and going to Sunday school until I would get kicked out because I would do something I probably wasn't supposed to be doing. You know, and that was really my only upbringing. We went to church with my parents on Easter, and that was basically it, you know. I didn't really have that, aside from my grandmother, that role model to go until I met Kelly. And, you know, when you are courting a beautiful woman, you're willing to do pretty much anything, you know, and it's funny that's kind of how it worked out.
I mean, God uses everything, right?
Yeah, so exactly. I don't think that's a bad thing. Like,
absolutely,
you know,
not. I mean, it's a trait that is, I think the way that you said that, Chris, is actually very honorable, because you're respecting your girlfriend and then your wife, that it was important to her. And in your lifestyle of being a professional baseball player, it's all too easy for guys not, you know, away from home, out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah, right.
And the fact that you did that is highly commendable. I mean, so in that process, you met guys like my guy Beltramo, right? Brian?
Yes. Oh, I love him.
He's
I'm sorry you have to leave.
Honestly, he really is one of the main influences in us kind of being where we are now.
Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Being able to see how they like raise their kids.
It was awesome. They were the most gracious people.
Yeah.
We would go to church every Saturday in spring training.
With them,
with them in Arizona and Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then go back to their house. We would have, you know, some food. We would go play basketball with the kids, like just go back and hang out. And there were a couple of us couples that did that, and they were just so gracious. And it was just kind of one of those things where we definitely knew that's how we wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, we were already married at that point, but you know, that's how we knew we wanted our lives to be. That's
awesome. He'll appreciate hearing that, because Brian's one of those unsung heroes, right? He just he lives it after he talks about it. And it's funny, being up here in Nevada, we obviously, with our university baseball team, we recruit Arizona pretty heavy. And it's amazing how many guys come through, and they're like, yeah, I know Brian.
They know.
It's pretty wonderful. That's pretty wonderful. So your faith is starting to pick up. You know, you're playing pro ball, Chris. And how long was your pro career?
I had I played for 15 years was my pro career.
That's a long time, man.
Played 15 years total, 10 in the big leagues.
That's
I tricked a few people.
Yeah. That's mightily impressive. So, Kellie, during this time, you said that you were traveling at first with Chris, I guess, when finances were allowing, and then you kind of started your own endeavor on the work side of things. Tell us a little bit about what you do and how successful that's become.
Yeah, that's been a huge blessing. So in 2012 or 13, dog. Go, Max, go lay down.
Go get the bunnies. Go get them.
Get the bunnies, Max. Go get them.
If it's not one, it's the other.
I know. We can't win.
Max,
go. Go.
My goodness. I didn't realize this was going to take 6 years to do 20 minutes.
Yeah. You guys are pretty natural at this. You guys are pretty great at this.
Thanks. Okay, so it was 2013 is when my business started.
That's right.
And that was when Jace, our oldest, was about 18 months old. And it all started with being an athlete. I wanted to work out. And after I had our son and we moved 8 times when Jace, between the year, or when he was 2 months to 6 months old, we moved 8 times. So getting a gym membership or doing anything consistent,
right, difficult.
It was really tough. And being an athlete, that was part of my life. And I wasn't working. I was a new mom, and I needed something for me outside of that. And I missed working out. So anyway, found an at-home workout program, and I did it, and I loved it. And I was part of an online group. Loved that. And so I signed up to become a Beachbody coach, which is basically helping people find at-home workouts and then encouraging them to do it and stay accountable. And I started it initially just for something to do because he was gone all the time.
Right.
I was at home with my son.
In a place where we didn't know.
We didn't know anybody.
In Durham, North Carolina at the moment.
Yeah.
When she started this.
Yeah. And so it's just been cool. It's grown.
Yeah, pretty good since then.
It's grown way more than we ever thought
Right.
it would or expected. But it's been such a blessing. And it's funny, when my business really took off is when his baseball career took off, because I think the fact that financially I was bringing something in, but I was also there supporting him because I was able to take my job wherever.
Mm-hmm.
It took the pressure off of him to be able to just play. He didn't have to play to put food on our table. He could just play to love it because he knew that part was taken care of. And so that was kind of cool. And it meant a lot to me to be able to do that for him, take that pressure off of him and just,
And still, she carries us. I mean, when I retired at the end of 2018, I did so knowing I was completely at peace with it because I knew, she's done such an incredible job at building this, and, it's continually growing every day, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But just that was a big part of it, was just knowing that mentally, this is something that, guys probably don't talk a lot about, but mentally I was okay with it because I knew we were going to be okay. I knew I could do stuff that I wanted to do, not necessarily stuff that I was forced to do at that point. And to be a 36-year-old guy that's married with 3 kids, to be able to say that is pretty fortunate.
Yeah, that's amazing that you guys have that you're able to express that and communicate that as a couple, and what a blessing to be in that position to do so. For both of you. Pretty amazing. I'll actually post a link to your website, what you do, Kellie, because I know during this time, there's people are looking for something to do and work out at home, and it's not just for gals, it's for everybody. Because I did a session.
Yeah, you did. You crushed it.
It crushed me. That's not.
That's me every day, dude.
You didn't jump in on the easiest workout.
Yeah, you're right.
That's like the toughest workout Beachbody's ever come out with.
Yes, and it crushed me. It's so I love that, and just as a couple, like my wife and I, we actually found the borders closer together because normally you do things together that are not typically working out. Normally, guys and gals do separate, go to the gym, get your workouts in, but it was something fun for us to do together. So maybe there's some people looking for that right now and looking for a bit of a bonding time at home. We'll post that. So how has COVID-19 impacted your work? Because Chris, you moved into a different coaching role this year, and Kelly, yes. I guess now you got more people at home than ever.
Yeah. She got everything she's been asking for. All she's wanted forever is me to be home, and she got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So how is that? So what does your work look like now, Chris? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Because
so this should be in season. Obviously completely unprecedented times that not many people on this planet have ever had to deal with before. It's been I really, the only way I can describe it is this is so far from the opposite of what I normally would be doing right now. This has affected our day-to-day business, our day-to-day life, pretty much exponentially. The fact that, my sport is completely shut down. I know the same thing can be said for everybody else because we're all stuck at home right now. But, it's not something that I've ever done. I have not been home in April in over 20 years. So to be able to see, I've never seen, the flowers bloom at my house because I'm never home. I'm only home when the trees are dying and, everything's beautiful, but then you have to clean up leaves for the next 3 weeks. And it's actually really, really pretty, to have the opportunity to be here and see things when, things are blooming. But, from a day-to-day standpoint, we're doing a ton of Zoom calls.
It's funny, baseball and Zoom calls.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that those are really two that go together, but right now anything in Zoom calls go together. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
So we, the first 3 weeks to the month of this quarantine, a lot of our job was twice a week, checking in with all of our players, making sure they're safe, their families are safe, they're healthy. If they needed anything at all, the Dodgers, my organization, is #1 class act. They were doing anything they could for somebody that needed anything, whether it was a family member, themselves specifically. A lot of our stuff was just kind of checking in on guys. And now that everybody seems to be kind of sheltered in place, we've been very fortunate. We haven't had anybody contract the virus yet. We've done a very due diligence in making sure that these guys are listening to the guidelines and staying inside and stuff like that. But we've kind of transitioned into a little bit more of a developmental type role where we're doing Zoom calls 2-3 times a day, not with the same group of kids, but we're breaking it up into groups to where we're breaking down. My specific area is, as a catcher, I'm a former catcher. I was big on game planning for specific pitching staffs, my specific pitching staff towards opposing hitters. And what we're doing is we're having a chance to take this downtime. We're getting kids on our website. We are going through everything from watching video to breaking down statistics and getting to learn our opposing hitters inside and out and our pitching staff better than they ever have before. So in reality, this is sort of a blessing in disguise because normally throughout this time, these kids they're playing games every single day. Our big league team's playing 162 games in 180 days. So we don't really have as much developmental time behind the scenes like we do right now. And the Dodgers are at the cutting edge of everything. And we're trying to make the best out of a very crappy situation, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And, we don't want to miss anything. We don't want to lose anything. We have the opportunity to do something. So we're going to try to take advantage of it and keep these kids interacted in what we got going on.
Yeah, no doubt. Implement some needed practices for this time, but maybe some practices that might stay moving forward too.
Exactly.
So love that. I'm a Giants fan, so you said Dodgers and classy 3 times on this video.
Yes, I'll continue to say it.
So I'm messing with you. Coach Roberts did an event for one of my staff, and he just did an awesome job at an FCA banquet. He's
an incredible person.
Yeah, just cannot speak highly enough of the man, which as he represents his organization, it's highly commendable. So, Kelly, you've got all these people at home. Is your business going up, down, work? What's it like for you right now?
Yeah, our business is growing. We've had record number of people accessing our at-home workouts right now because everybody's looking for something. So I feel very blessed to be, I was telling him, I'm like, who would have thought 7 years ago when I got into this that, you know, at a time like an epidemic, that it would be the best job to have.
Right.
But it's just been awesome, and it's cool to see people staying active and, you know, trying new things. And so our business has been great. Thankfully.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, we work out every morning together or afternoon whenever we get the opportunity to do it. But we're doing a really cool boxing workout right now. It's called 10 rounds. I did not know how much it could kick your tail end.
Yeah.
Because it definitely crushes you. But it's so much fun. It's, you know, it's a chance to take out, not aggression, so to speak, but like some sort of frustrations of being stuck. You know, things aren't going your way, or the kids are being crazy. You know, it's a great opportunity to release some stress, I guess you could say.
Yes.
And, you know, it's cool that we still get to do it together.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we're seeing a little bit of a trend here, you know, at times where the world is struggling, let's say, with this pandemic and people's new normality. There seems to be a nice covering with you guys, you know, obviously with work provision in that area, house, kids, staying at home, extra time, bonus time. Many might look at you and say, oh, you know, things are going really well for the Gimenezes, not so much me. But as people of faith, there's this kind of misconception that, you know, everything just comes easy. But you guys have definitely had some challenges in your life and times of difficulty and doubting. Why don't you go ahead and share a little bit about those that really impacted you the most?
Sure.
I'm
currently going through one of those as we speak.
I mean, we've had ups and downs in everything.
Yeah. Careers, you know, life.
Yeah. Right now has been, I mean, just a little backstory. I mean, you know, you always say, like, tell God your plans and he'll tell you his.
Yeah.
You know, so he left in February, where we had sold this house and purchased a new house with the plans to move in at the end of spring training. He was planning to come home, you know, painters were booked, movers were booked. Timing was perfect. Everything was aligning great. And then with this whole virus, everything came crashing down. Our buyers fell out. We're listing our home right now, which is
in the middle of a pandemic. It turns out listing your house is not necessarily what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
You don't want really people in your house coming to look at it,
but you do,
you know, and it's turned out to be, this has been a very challenging, trying time for me specifically, because this is one of the first times I have had very little faith and trust in God. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, for whatever reason, knowing, you know, everything that's kind of happened and the way it's happened, and the house that we bought, I am absolutely in love with. And I see so many things for our family at that house. And I want it to happen so bad. You know what I mean? And I want it to happen so bad, and it's so bad right now. And the fact that we've had, you know, a couple of speed bumps in the road, that's really affected me for whatever reason.
And like every aspect, like with our kids, with our relationship.
Yes, it has. And it's been difficult. And I don't really know
he has no outlet.
Yeah. I have nothing. Like, it's be a dad, you know, 24/7. Kids need snacks and something to do every 11 minutes, or iPads coming in here, and, you know, you need to download a game for them or something. It's been a very rude awakening for me, because I'm not used to being home this much, period. And it's definitely a glimpse into what she has to deal with on a daily basis when I'm gone. And it's been a good thing, because I have created a bit more of a respect for that and how hard it really is. Because, you know, we've had times in the past where last year I was working, my job hours were like ridiculous. I was basically sleeping for 3 hours and working close to 18 hours to 20 hours a day. And that was every single day for 200 straight days, with maybe an off day, maybe snuck in there. And I think my mind was so consumed in what I was doing, I wasn't necessarily, I guess, giving as much attention to her needs as I should have been, you know, and just, she was constantly telling me that this is difficult. She needs help. And, you know, of course I'm like, well, then let's get help, you know.
Our kids they're 8, 5, and 3.
Yeah. We're just they're at a tough age is all it is. It's not, it has nothing to do with,
well, last year they were 7, 4, and 2.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's,
which is take your pick.
Yeah.
At that, whatever age you want to deal with. But yeah, this has been a trying time because I've had a lot of doubt that, you know, not doubt, I guess it's just more of wanting to control it myself, you know, and not giving that up.
Yeah.
And I keep telling him, I'm like, God is going to keep, like, he is, like, we were just talking about it today, like, God pulls you through these tough times because he's changing your character and he's teaching you something, and like he's not gonna not use this to better us or bring us closer to him or trust in him better. And I just keep joking with, like, every setback with this house, he gets more and more frustrated, and I'm like, God's still teaching you. Like,
and I'm just like, I've learned already. All right, like, let's just go with this.
Just give me my grade, let me move on.
Yeah. You know, I'm like, I'll be fine as long as we move. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
But I have to give my wife credit. She's kind of the rock. She always has been, and she'll smack me back into shape when I need it. When I'm getting a little out of control, you know, she'll let me know, like, hey, you've got to let go and just trust that it's going to happen. And honestly, it does seem to help. I feel like I've gotten a little better at least with it. Like, you know,
you have, and you know, just talking about, like, God's going to open and close doors, and if he's going to close a door, he'll open another one, and just trusting, like, you know, and it sounds so silly now that, like, we're stressed about a move, like,
right. And we don't mean to be insensitive, you know, like, by any means. But
and you know,
this is also what's going on in our life right now.
Yeah.
You know,
but we're lucky that that's the, like, frustration we have. Right. But I mean, I think God can use any situation, little or big, just to, like, not only bring us closer, but, you know, make us turn to him and trust him. And, you know, like, God, what do you want out of this? What do you want us to move? Do you want us to stay here? Do you?
I want us to move, but he may not. You know.
You know, so.
I mean, that's a relatable point for our viewers here, because too often we look for God in just like the really bad things, to say, oh man, he showed up in those really tough times, and everything. But like you said it, Chris, really well there, that this is your problem, right? And others might go, wow, yeah, moving from one nice house to another nice house, but like it's real to you. It's causing you extreme frustration, right? Because you're leading family. And it's real. And if it's important to you, I think that's one of the misconceptions. If it's important to you, it's important to God, right? And he's caring about you in this process, and he's refining you in this process. And it comes to me as kind of no shock. You know, I've always said that the devil goes to where he's had success before, right? And as believers and as a couple, I'm sure you've seen this. You guys recently got baptized, which I always said, like, that's when the devil's just going, oh, dang it. I'm like, they're further away from me than ever, right? And after that, he just throws the kitchen sink at you. So whether it's our desire to hold on to and control, or, you know, frustrations at home with kids, whatever it is, you know, he's going to do that. So, you know, it's not that you doubt God. It's just we fall back onto our own way, right? And that's kind of where it's at. So, you know, you got baptized. What a couple months ago now? 3 months ago?
Yeah, January.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my, this year has gone by quick.
Yeah. So, it seems like it was 2 years ago, but it was really only in January.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, you know, March seemed to drag its feet for everybody across the nation. So I'm going to roll some pictures of your baptism. What made you decide to get baptized? Because you've been obviously, you know, growing in faith together, going through life challenges. Why now? Why get baptized now?
I mean, so we were both baptized as babies. And, you know, I always was like, man, we need to get rebaptized now that we've committed our lives. And this is something that as a family, like, we're committing to. And I would always kind of bring it up, and he's like, we already got baptized, which, you know, it's
I think at first, that's definitely the way it went. And then, you know, it came up the idea, like, okay, let's wait and see if our kids want to do it, and we'll do it as a family together. You know, thinking that would be a good support system for our kids. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of the impression that I was always under, was we were going to wait till we were kids. I don't know why. Like, I have no reason for not doing it.
Yeah.
And on a Sunday in January at church, they were doing baptisms.
Well, that's another thing is he was never really home for baptism.
That's true,
because
yes.
He was only home 3 or 4 months out of the year.
Right. So we didn't have a chance to do it really.
A lot of times it never worked out timing wise. He wasn't in town when our church was doing baptisms.
Yeah, and I think Kelly had come up with the idea at church. She says, why don't we go do it? She's like, why don't we just come back, for the next service and we'll go do it. And I looked at her and I was like, really? Like she wanted to go do it like right then and there, but I'm like, we had nobody to watch the kids.
Well, they're like, if you like are feeling like you need to come do this, and I was like, it had been on my heart for like a year,
quite a while,
maybe longer, that I wanted to get baptized as an adult, and I was like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm doing it today. I don't care if you're doing it with me. Like I'm doing this, and I want to come back tonight. I want the kids to be there, like the whole thing.
Yeah. So we ended up. I was like, well, if you're doing it, I'm doing it.
So great.
Yeah. And it's funny how God works, right? Like of that Sunday, our other good friend, TJ Bruce, was getting baptized the same day,
same night,
baseball coach, here at Nevada. And there were so many of our friends and friends there, like you guys were there.
Yeah.
And some other good friends were there, that it was just so spur of the moment for us. Like even our families couldn't make it. It was just us and our kids, but to be able to have a support group of people that know and love us there was like, it was so special.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
And it made it feel like that it was supposed to happen.
That way.
Yeah.
I loved it walking in, seeing you guys in your t-shirts ready. I was like, what? This is awesome. This is like, okay, we watch TJ. I'm like, this is like a 3-for-1. I love this. Yeah. This is awesome. No, it's so great to see you guys get baptized. And you guys obviously committed going to a church. You've done some great outreach projects with them over the years too. As your kids are getting older now, how important is it to you that they get a foundation in church, that it's not mom and dad's faith? Kelly, you talked a little bit about your faith without your mom and dad at the age of 12. How important is it to you to see your kids get grounded in a church? And for you, it's Grace Church there in the Northwest Reno.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think for them to be able to start creating their own faith now is so cool. And our 8-year-old, I mean, all our kids were there, but our 8-year-old videoed us getting baptized, and his just like crying. And he was just like, I'm just so happy for you. And it's, as an 8-year-old, to have the realization of how important that day was, and for him to like for them to lead prayers for us, like at dinner, it's so special. And I feel like God teaches us through them too, because like not growing up in a Christian household, sometimes, I don't know, I kind of feel like sometimes a lot of pressure to figure it out together, but also figure it out for our kids. But just being able to have a church like Grace, our kids went to preschool there, our 5-year-old's doing kindergarten there. They have that foundation already that we can do this as a family. And, having a church where we can all go and everybody loves it and everybody's learning, and we're doing it together, and also taking the pressure off us that like God's got our kids too. Like we don't have to feel like we have to teach them. Like we need to, provide the foundation for them, but like God's using them and teaching them and bringing people into their lives. And the best, we can do is just provide that type of foundation and the consistency of it, and show them how, like, him working in our lives. And
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say anything more than that. That was
No, I mean, I love it because you said about the journey that God draws you. Like often as parents, my wife and I say we have 3 kids too, that we feel like it's like our job, right, to make the kids love God, but we forget so often that like God loves them more than we do. Like He's entrusted us, we have to raise them, but like His plan is perfect, and only He can draw them. So that's it's great to hear you share that. So we're finished with this. First, just want to thank you guys for your time, but also obviously this is the FCA channel. You guys have been partners with FCA for a while, and we really appreciate that, you helping us to do what we do with our 10 staff across the state. And Chris, you've spoken at some schools and teams with us before, and Kelly, you're on the board for a little bit, and then kid life took over, but we're coming back for you when those kids settle down. We are coming back for you because I think your guys' wisdom and story that you bring is just a wonderful testimony of God just wasting nothing and carving out a life. And this is God's intention. He first made man and woman together, and your honesty of ups and downs and challenges is highly relatable for both our coaches and athletes and coaches' wives and spouses watching. But with FCA and you with your kids, what is it that attracts you to a ministry, obviously both being athletes, but a faith-based ministry like FCA? What is it that kind of draws you in and says, I'm interested in that?
I think for me, part of it is the opportunity to share how this has all come about. You know what I mean? It's in a relatable realm, where we're dealing with athletes, we're dealing with coaches and spouses, and I think everything is very relatable. And that's something that I really enjoy, is having the ability to talk. And sometimes we, as baseball players, right, or as athletes, we talk in athlete terms where somebody else may not understand what we're talking about. You know what I mean? But I feel like the thing that I love here is everybody understands either what we're going through. The support system is incredible. Just having a chance to make an impact, I think, is cool. And using our platform, whether it may be big, little, whatever, to try to give back and say thank you and all that stuff is important to both of us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kellie, what would you offer to a piece of nugget, I guess, wisdom to any of our young lady athletes watching? Because sometimes this is knowledge. You're going to throw down knowledge right here. But this is, we're seeing a growing and an increase in strong female athletes who, when it comes to a faith realm, they are reluctant to maybe take the lead in a relationship. And hearing Chris's story, you were definitely the one kind of taking that nudge. What would you tell them? Because some of them just like shy away from that. But how would you encourage them to close?
I think for me, talking to like athlete women growing up, when I was chasing my sports as my identity, I felt lost in it. And when I chased my identity in Christ, I felt like I could cling to that. And so for me, I went through college and felt lost. And then after college, when I started going back to church, I just felt home again. And so I couldn't not share that with him because it was what made me feel whole. So for me, just constantly encouraging him in whatever way that looked like for him, and not forcing it, but like living that way. And like he would see me wake up in the morning and like reading my Bible, and I just like constantly lived how I wanted to, but encouraged him in the same way, but never forced him, and just prayed for him. There's a great book called The Power of a Praying Wife. Yeah. And it just talks about how you can pray over your husband for all the different like aspects of his life, and pray about it and encourage them and love them and let God do the rest. Because I feel like God brought the people into his life that he needed to see, that needed to encourage him, that would bring him closer to God. And all I could do was just encourage and, be there for him. So
awesome. There's people out there who need to hear that. So you guys are inspiration. Thanks for your time today. You're an inspiration to the people who are working out at home, Kellie. You're coaching them along. You've got a new world of coaching these young guys when they're trying to make it, and all that entails. And I can't think of a better guy to kind of be that inspiration, because you got a very pastoral nature to you, man. Real side of frustration comes out, but you are real and relatable, and I love it. So, and I know you're a blessing to the church community, with Grace and obviously with FCA here in Reno and Nevada. Even though you're making fun of my like all Knights blanket, got to represent the state, got to represent the state.
That's all right. I can be okay with that.
Yeah, okay. Well, you got your Raiders there. It's all good. So, hey, I'm going to let you guys go, but if I can close with prayer for you guys, I'd love it to do so. And it's just been an honor having you on the channel today. So let me pray. Father, thanks for the Gimenezes. What a family. What a story. just how, from the age of 12, he just entered into Kellie's life so real and tangible. And there's ups and downs throughout their lives, but when you waste nothing and you knitted it all together and you've put people in their lives to inspire, to encourage, to direct towards you, that's culminating to where we're at today, where the house is covered by your hands. They've been baptized this year. Lord, your provision is great, and they're able to proclaim your glory through Zoom, through video conferencing, but through living out their life. Just as they saw couples saying, we want to be like them, there's people watching and couples in this community who say, we want to be like the Gimenezes. So we thank you for that. Thank you for the hands upon their life. Continue to keep them healthy, their parents healthy, their kids, and all their family members, Lord. And we just consider it all joy. And it's in your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll let you guys go back to play with your iPads with the kids.
Yeah. We're going outside right now.